last session of the Colorado General Assembly, legislation was adopted that was taking a look at the boundaries for the state's transportation planning regions. And that process is underway currently. I know your organizations, our organization, raised some questions to ensure that that process was truly robust and had a strong stakeholder process included. Are you all engaging? How are you feeling about that process? You know, what kind of thoughts would you want to make sure we shared with our members about that process? And Brittany, do you want to jump in first?
Yeah, so we're definitely keeping up to date with things. They are doing the stakeholder meetings right now that are taking place. So we're trying to keep in the loop with all of that. And throughout the session, we were just so grateful to be involved with HDR Carla Perez, who is also on your board, I believe, and Mike McVaugh, who worked for CDOT for many years. So they do tend to have some connections there, and they're keeping us in the loop as much as possible. We're grateful for the opportunity for the stakeholder input, of course, but we obviously know that there's a fight ahead of us. We think it's definitely, as it is now, we think we support the current planning process and the existing representative structure. But we do understand why they're taking a look at it again. But our question is, why fix something if it's not broken? And that's kind of what we're struggling with. I certainly agree with them taking a look at it again and at least renewing their process, or saying, you know, yeah, this is still working, because it is tens of years old. I think it's 20 years old now. So I do get them wanting to revisit that and looking at what it looks like. But do I think that we should neglect the majority of the square mileage throughout all of Colorado? Absolutely not. And we definitely need to have that rural representation on the board there. It shouldn't be population based by any means. We are ready to fight as soon as, you know, there's more opportunity for us here. But as of right now, we are just keeping a close eye on things and listening in and making sure our voice is heard. We recommend that everybody else gets their voices out there as well. And, you know, if they need some talking points or need any more information on it, they're always welcome to reach out to us.
Excellent. Sarah, something you'd like to add there, and then we'll go to Kathy.
Well, I again, I agree with Brittany. It's reasonable to relook at processes. However, you can't spend so much time having those discussions. Look, the truth of the matter is, when we delay projects right now, the way the economy is, every day delay adds cost. And if the problem is cost, and we're spending all this time on the processes of maps and who should be represented and how, I mean, the math is the math. Let's get to work. It's really, I think it's difficult to swallow this idea that the most important priority should be how we analyze the process over getting the work done.
Kathy, anything you'd like to add?
Well, Sarah, you couldn't have said it any better. So one of the things I did find out last night is the Pro 15, my region quarter, the fourth district out here, has the second most lane miles in any district, and the first center mile lanes. I haven't quite figured out what the difference between those two are, but we're first in one and second in the other. But it's very obvious that the discussions are leading to making population more important than lane miles. So, Sarah, I was truly disappointed last night. I signed on. I'm going to download the actual presentation so I can read it and look at it a little more thoroughly, because like I say, it was like, so they were throwing out so many stats and numbers, and history. And I'm like, Sarah, that's hour and a half. You could have got some work done on a road somewhere. You could have filled a pothole. I mean, so.
So
Sarah, it looks like you had another
yeah,
thought.
I just to what Kathy just detailed is what we're seeing, and then not just in this area. Action 22 is really involved in broadband right this minute. And one of the, and it could, pardon the pun, it could derail the entire project, in that because CDOT's process is exactly what Kathy Schull just described. So it's not just on, rural outreach or rural roads. It feels like a term I like to use called lollipop. When when there's a little kid and they come and they tell you all this stuff and you're like, you're listening, and then you pat them on their head and give them a lollipop and send them on their way. That's what it feels like. And again, as far as roads and safety, we have all the roads and safety, and we have all the necessities. It's where are we really going to prioritize, or what matters most?
And it's becoming abundantly clear that what matters most is not so much in the rural communities. And I'm going to be on the call tonight, Kathy, that you were on last night. And
Be ready.
I'm assuming I'm going to walk away with the same insights there. And it's really frustrating because they don't realize that those corridors are what brings their food over, what helps bring their water over, what helps bring all of these resources over that makes Colorado. And it's becoming abundantly clear that rural Colorado has been kind of left in the dust once again.
And I will say some of the information they gave, like, difference between TPRs and MPOs and, COGS and all of that part was interesting, but that could have been sent to us in a document. That didn't have to be part of the hour and a half we carved out to do a rural listening session. And it's not just rural, because they're doing them for every TPR or MPO or whatever in the region. So I just kind of felt like it was a lot of filler stuff that would like boggle our minds. And girls, we're going to be the most popular people in the world. You realize when this,
Oh, we
this
already
video
are.
goes live.
We already are. If we're not poking bears, what are we doing?
Well, I think it's important for our members to hear directly from you about issues that, that where you are excited, areas where you have concerns, places where an organization like Move Colorado can be a partner. We really do look at transportation through the lens of the state. And so we can't be myopically centered on just Metro Denver. Certainly, we need to take that into consideration, but the movement of goods and services and people is across our entire state. It doesn't just happen in one region of our state. And so I think that's an important piece for us to take into consideration. And your voices at our table make a huge difference in that space. So I honor what you're bringing to this conversation. And certainly I think it's important for our policy committee to be up
one
to
of the
speed.
things, Tamara, I might intersect, and Brittany,
Yes.
if you listen tonight, they gave stats on safety, like accidents on the road. Well, those can be interpreted differently depending on how you phrase them. So yes, Denver on their roads are going to have way more accidents than we do on our roads. But if you look at it in another by lane miles traveled or some of that, then our safety issues are huge compared to others.
Well, and not only that, but the size of the vehicles that are in those accidents as well play a large part in that. There's a lot more truck accidents out here. There's livestock accidents. There's all sorts of things out here that you more than likely won't see in the metro areas.
Valuable point. And kind of back to the first question, access to critical care facilities or first responders probably takes longer, I would imagine, in a rural.
There's not many of them, so, and they have
Yeah.
long distances to travel.
Well,
Yeah.
and we're communities, especially out here on the Western Slope, but I'm sure you guys also agree, where outdoor rec is a huge part of our area. And, you know, there's hiking accidents where we might need a chopper to come in and life flight out. There's biking accidents, like I said, livestock accidents, all of those. And there's not access or hospitals that are equipped to handle some of those high level triage accidents that happen with outdoor rec.
Yeah.